Hey there, hi there, ho there. It is the Four Color Cafe, and the bear is not hibernating, but apparently taking a nap. So we're hijacking his stream again. I have Brian with Gaming with ADHD, and we've got Sean with Mage's Musings. What's up, buddy?
Hello. Good to be here.
Oh, Merlinster Gandaldor. I think I got that right. I don't.
That's it. That's exactly it. Merlinster Gandaldor. Everybody's four favorite wizards. And now he's thinking about it.
Well, okay, so Merlin, Gandalf. I don't know the others.
Well, Merlin, Elminster.
Oh, Elminster.
Gandalf, and Dumbledore.
There we go. Okay, well, now I totally understand it, and I will probably remember it easier. So, let's see. Good morning, Dale from the Hilt. Dale is wondering if we have begun, and it's up in the air. We're still deciding.
Think Shang Tsung. It has begun.
Great. Now I've got something in my teeth, and it's going to annoy me all night. But whatever. All right. So, good morning, Mike. What have you been up to, Mage?
I just spent the last 3 hours on Yield Geeks stream talking gaming and stuff like that. So I've been sitting in front of a computer all day.
Got all your editing done, right?
I've got some editing done, most of the editing done from the next video. Yes, I just have to insert a few scenes and just tweak some transitions and add some music, and then I should have it live Friday, my next recap episode.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been waiting for some more of your videos to pop, but I have not seen them.
Yeah, they're coming. They're coming. It's I need to get back into the rhythm. I had the 7,000 celebration and sent those packages off. Everybody's got their prizes. Everybody but one person hasn't claimed their prize yet from the giveaway. So I've been trying to get a hold of them, tagging them in notes and whatnot, but nothing. So I'll give them another couple of weeks and then just redraw for a new winner.
If you can't give the free stuff away, I mean that's on them. So anyways, Dale is wondering if there's ever too much gaming talk. For this group, I don't think so. And hey, look at who we've got.
Howdy. How's it going?
Ye of the epic voice. Now I can resume jealousy mode.
Yeah.
No reason to be jealous. And it's not that epic. Come on. What are we talking about?
Well, we are just literally just BSing because we were wondering where you were at.
Trying to get set up.
I mean, why you're messing with your cameras outside of this, I don't know, because I do my best to avoid touching anything.
Well,
I'm not recording.
Yeah. There's reasons.
Fair enough. All right. Well, it has been a week. I thought we were going to start the official Four Color Cafe back up again. But instead we're hijacking the stream. So, let's see. I was asking Mage what he's got going on. He's got a few videos coming out. I saw that you posted a new one. I haven't been able to watch it yet. What did you post up today?
Oh, me? Yeah, so I started a series talking about AD&D 2nd edition, like I promised to do. Now, this video I posted this morning is just kind of a broad overview for anybody that's not familiar with it, kind of talking about, what AD&D 2nd edition encompasses as far as the rules and the settings and the supplements, and also just kind of talking about what I liked about it and didn't like about it and all that.
All right.
But I plan on going in greater detail, of course.
Yeah, that's one that, like, as over the last year I've started, like, either rebuying some games that I used to have in the past, or looking at some older ones that I might have missed, like original D&D or first edition D&D. or first edition AD&D. That's what I meant. But yeah,
That's
second edition.
You got questions? Come to me.
Eventually, I mean, well, okay. Let's be honest. The running problem I have is that I'm not doing enough reading. I absolutely need to do that. But yeah, no, I wanted to, like, I don't know why I got prompted to do it, but I've told it before where like my first character was this Oriental Adventures ninja that I never got to play. And so I picked up Oriental Adventures, the player's handbook, and like the 4 adventures for it. And we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I just buy too much stuff. But anyhow, so all right. So today, Cody suggested that we talk about the OSR philosophy. So, Cody, we're gonna, you know what? Since you brought it up, we're gonna start with you.
Okay, well, so I've been around in the OSR community, hanging around since its infancy, really, before it was even called the OSR. Because I never stopped playing old school D&D. And I don't think Sean did either. He's one of those guys that. Yeah, he's I
dabbled in the newer stuff, but second ed was my go-to for 30 years, and then I eventually retired from that, and the first ed is now my go-to along with OSE. But yeah, it's always been OSR games.
Right. So when the OSR thing first started coming around, I guess the first time I took note of it was probably around 2006 or so. Probably around the Dragonfoot forums and all that. And this whole, revitalization of the old school D&D community came around. Of course, we had OSR, we had the retro clones started coming out, and not just the retro clones. A lot of people were either converted or came back to playing old school D&D. But around that, there was this philosophy that started to form around what is old school D&D, essentially. Is there a proper way to play it? So really, that was kind of the discussion I wanted to talk about. I actually think Sean's probably got a lot to talk about this.
I might. Sure, put me on the spot. Why don't you?
Oh, no.
Okay, so I guess like for me, I like outside of like a few people online, like I've looked at stuff from RPG Pundit, Basic Expert. Actually, I think those are really the only ones outside of literally going to older games directly. So I guess we'd start with, I guess we should figure out what are we talking about when we say OSR philosophy?
Okay, well, so there's been this whole philosophy that's been developed around is there a proper way to play old school D&D? Now, my quick answer has always been no.
No.
I don't think there is, but a lot of people, are very forceful about saying that there is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a great thing. And I might lose a couple friends over saying that, but I really don't give a shit. Because again, I've been playing old school D&D forever. I hang around guys that have been playing since the very beginning, and even those guys that played at the very beginning told me that, they were all playing the game differently. There was no philosophy they formed how to play it. Every group approached it differently, even from the very get-go. So to say that this might be a short conversation, actually, because I think I'm pretty much just summing it up right here. If there is a proper way to play it, and, my short answer is no, I don't think there is. But I also don't think it's a good thing that a lot of these, a lot of the community is force feeding these ideas into the community, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I tend to agree that, there is one proper way to play, and that's the way you play. That's the way you play at your table. But the games, as they've been presented, especially the more modern with the refined presentations, have influenced a style of play and thus a philosophy of play. And I think this is where the branches start, where the ideas start. If you just look at an OSR book, let's say AD&D, because that's my jam, and without any outside influence, you read the books and you get a style of play there. Like it's AD&D is very much suggests the sandbox as the default. An open world building. There's no judgment on whether you're going to play good or evil. All the options are there for you to choose, for you to make the game. And they suggest even the style of play of troop play, where everybody's got multiple characters and follow the timing, use your calendar, pass real time, things like that. Because Gygax had his club, they'd go and there'd be 30 people in the club. All right, who's DMing? Gary's DMing. All right, 10 people with Gary. Who's DMing? Dave's DMing. Oh, yeah, 10 people with Dave. Who have you got? I got my paladin. Okay, no, don't bring your assassin. Things like that. Whereas the modern books are all about, they very much focus on tell the story.
Right.
Here's the story. The story has the arc. Fudge the dice if the bad roll is gonna interfere with the story. That is in the philosophy and the style of play. And I think just looking at the core books without somebody telling you how they're played, that will inform the style of play. But you're still going to have room for interpretation and personal preference.
Yeah, actually, I kind of agree with you. And some of these philosophies, I agree with. I don't disagree with the whole philosophy of the OSR. I actually agree with some of it. Yes. Certain editions of D&D, and I've talked about this on my videos and other streams, kind of imply a certain way to play, like you were saying, Sean. And like first edition AD&D, absolutely, that exactly what you described is what it kind of implies to play, and it plays best that way.
Way, yeah,
yeah. And white box D&D, it's really designed in the same manner. Now it focuses more on the dungeon, but it's still pretty focused pretty heavily on the sandbox idea too. So yeah, I think there is some of that OSR philosophy that's good things. But there are some things that I think, get force fed into the community. And I don't think it's, if you don't do this and you don't do that, you don't do this, you're doing it wrong, Well,
and a lot is made about how it was played back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And, they'll say, it was always done the AD&D way where, everybody died. And it's like, well, I played it back in the day. And at least at my tables, no, we played it the way a lot of modern players play their games. We fudge dice and we try to make it cool. And because we were young and stupid and we wanted to play the game a certain way. And I think a lot of the modern games evolved in that direction because that's mostly how people played it. It sucked to die. It sucked, to when things didn't go your way and you felt like a loser before you were mature enough to accept that this is a game and games have, variables and things can happen. And that's the fun of the game. And Elf Bates saying the same thing. Every table was different back in the day. So I think the modern gaming philosophy kind of evolved from that idea that, we all played our own games, but we judged by our feelings. Did it feel good to get killed? Well, no, it didn't. So let's minimize your chance of getting killed. Let's make it all about the story. So death is less important, or death is less easy, or whatever you want to term it. And I think that does inform the modern philosophy of play. Whereas if you go back and embrace the style as presented in AD&D, or that idea of it's a sandbox game where anything can happen, let the dice fall where they will, even if we didn't play it that way, it's still a good way to take the game. I've found as I've gotten older that it is the most satisfying way to play. But that doesn't mean I'm going to crap all over somebody who says, no, I like the story-based game where our characters can only possibly die when we're fighting the big bad, because dying against a minion isn't fun, if you follow my meaning.
Absolutely. No, and I mean, I'm always the guy I'm a centrist, I'm always the middle ground guy. And I always say this, but I enjoy both styles of play. I enjoy, heavy story-based games, but I also enjoy the hardcore old school D&D experience. I don't I don't find, I know most people do, but I don't find, the threat of my character dying at any moment to be a bad thing. Actually, it's kind of exciting to me, right? So those old school D&D elements, I actually like that stuff. If somebody wants to run a AD, or I have too many times played AD&D first or second edition or whatever by the book, and I tell everybody, hey, we're playing rules as written this time. We're going to try to play the way it was meant to be played this time around. And some people enjoy that, some people don't. I will say also, as a GM, I tend to try to get a feel for what everybody likes. Like my group, for the most part, my face-to-face group doesn't really enjoy that style of play. They enjoy a little bit of it. So I've found a balance, right? That what works for us and what everybody has fun with. They still like the danger and the threat, but not, they don't like, you fail one save and die. Doesn't bother me, but they don't like that, So, I modified that. That's just an example. And, I think people back then did too,
Yeah, no, and I think there's a lot to be said for that. Yes, there is no, I mean, you see the arguments about, oh, well, you have to play rules as written. And then you hear the arguments of, well, even, Gygax didn't play rules as written, or the fact that, let's be honest, no rule set is perfect. Somebody's going to have a rule that they don't like, or styles of play that they're not into. So you're going to have that customization. So that, I think, is still one of those questions of, like, so we want to have this term of old school revival, but is that just okay, we're going to do dungeon crawls, or we're going to do domain play or anything like that? Or is it, we're just going to go back to this old set of rules because I don't like the new rules anymore?
Well, I think the OSR came from all that you're talking about. I think initially it was people that wanted to, really at its core, I think it came from people, trying to keep the old rules alive, but then they started trying to keep the old ways of play alive. And some people never got to play, a hex crawl or a dungeon crawl or whatever, so they wanted to experience that, or they hadn't experienced it in 30, 40, 50 years, and they wanted to experience it again. So yeah, I think it was all that informed, or does inform, the OSR community. The history of it is part of it. That's part of it for me, right? I enjoy hearing people's stories about how they played back in the day. I enjoy reading about, the first games. I enjoy the history of the game and exploring the history of the game and the philosophy that was informing people back then when they played. And so I think that informs the OSR community today, right?
Mage?
I don't disagree. Yeah, it's one of those conversations that's kind of weird, because it only really gets weird or strained when you get people who are adamant that their way of play is the only way to play.
Yeah.
Right. And I've got a friend. He's been playing since OD&D. He started to play in '74. Right. He's played literally every edition as they've come out. Because I think he was 15 in '74. So, and it was so funny, because I expected him, when he first came in to sit in my game, I expected him to be so well-rounded as a player, and he's just totally embraced this idea that no, the characters shouldn't be in any danger except when it really matters, and basically the quote-unquote modern philosophy of the story. And his character, his first level guest character, died in an epic fashion too. He was trying to turn some skeletal rats that didn't. Then the turning failed. He had a first level cleric, and he melted down. He could not handle that his character died, and it was so like we were watching at the table. This grown man in his mid to late 60s just devolve into a puddle of sulk. And he was complaining, it's all about the story and easy character death is just no fun, and no, if you don't have a story going, then there's no point in playing. And it's like, you made 3 characters, just bring in your second character. I don't want to play any more characters. And it's like, wow, okay.
It's kind of funny you were saying that. So I had the opposite experience. So, usually I've hung around older people all my life. And it's no exception with gaming. Now, I play with a historical group here locally.
Yeah.
They're all older guys. I think, even though now there's some younger blood, but for a long time, it was, I was the young blood and everybody else is like 50 or 60, So, but in that historical group, everybody enjoys role playing too. So the first couple years I got in there, we started, playing some role playing games again. Now they were playing, they were trying to play 5th edition D&D and all that stuff and whatever. So we also do an annual convention every year here in Nashville, historical convention. Now I was like, well, it'd be a cool idea. I'm going to run a white box D&D game for everybody. So I posted to run 2 sessions of this game. The first night I had 20 something odd people show up at my table. I had to go get another table because it was such a large group. And I had people literally come from other states just to play in this game, which was cool. But what ended up happening out of that is a lot of my wargaming group, the older guys, were involved in that. And from then on, they said directly, they went back to playing old school D&D again because they were like, Cody, you sparked that, nostalgia I had for when I first played D&D, when I used to play white box or first edition AD&D or whatever. And, that's what they're playing now. And actually one of the guys wrote a retro clone of white box inspired by that, those 2 gaming sessions I ran at the conventions. So kind of interesting. Kind of the opposite of your story.
Yeah. Well, my friend in question is sort of an outlier. I've gotten some people into D&D who never played D&D before, and when they've branched out to play other editions, they've ultimately preferred the older school. But I've got friends who, it's like they were 5th ed players and they wanted to sit into an old school, and I like my 5th ed. But so it's a mix.
It is. Yeah. I mean, I've had pretty much the same kind of thing. Because usually if I'm running D&D, it's going to be some kind of old school D&D. And, I've had players, I let anybody just about join in the game, but I've had many players that don't enjoy, the style of the game. And they want to more play like 5th edition D&D. And I'm like, well, you're more than welcome to run 5th edition D&D, but I'm not going to.
I do run 5th edition, but I house rule to give it an OSR feel.
I mean, that's
the style I like to play.
Sure. I'm not gonna house rule. I'll just play the real thing, but each their own. I
like to experiment, and I also wanted to understand 5th edition, so I would I talk about it as well. Talk about it with informed opinion as opposed to it's 5th edition, I don't like it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. Like I was actually excited for 5th edition when it first came out. I'm always excited for new D&D, so I went and bought it the day it came out. I ran several campaigns of it. I just didn't enjoy it. That's just my personal preference. But I did try it first. I wasn't one of these people that just, was like, oh, it's 5th edition. And I heard some guy on the YouTubes say it was bad, so I don't like it. No.
I've never played 4th edition, but I don't badmouth it. It's just an edition I have no opinion of. I mean, sure. I picked it up and read the book, the player's book, and I was like, yeah, this is not D&D to me. And I put it back down, and that was it. But I understand it's got a lot of adherents who think it's actually a very masterfully built system. It's like, great. If you enjoy it, love it.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much been my take on every edition of D&D. I mean, I don't enjoy 4th edition or 5th edition, but hey, if you do, cool.
Well, third edition is the one I will badmouth because I played it for long enough to have an opinion, and I hate it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I
but I'm not going to tell people who love it that it's a stupid game and they shouldn't play it. I'm just going to say I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we all got our preferences, right? And that's fine. That's fine.
All right. Well, speaking of opinions,
is Bear here?
It's Bear.
Wow.
Good morning, Bear. No, you have.
Wow.
No, you have
Okay, bye. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Did you get tired of shaking your fist quietly at the screen as we rambled on?
No, I just got home, actually. The reason I couldn't host tonight was because I had a work barbecue to go to since 2 this afternoon, but I just got home. So I'm like, oh, they're talking. I thought they were playing there and Hack again tonight. So I was like,
tomorrow
okay.
night.
That's tomorrow night. Yeah, I'm old. Time has no meaning.
So, well, good morning, Bear. Welcome. All right. So, real quick, I did want to bring this up. Elfate says it doesn't help that so much of the OSR is full of new ideas, which turn out to be old ideas that few people ran into, but were there back in the day. And that's one thing that I see a lot is, people talking about, oh, look at this thing that I found. And it's like, yeah, the 5th edition DM's guide has all the rules for that. Or, this game from 10 years ago already did that. So how much of that do you think, how much of the OSR is necessarily, we'll say, going back to old ways of plays because the rules don't exist versus people just not actually reading the rules anymore?
Do you want me to offend some people?
Do you
Go ahead.
not?
I think we already did.
Hold on, let me check my subscriber count.
Exactly.
You're welcome to talk, Bear.
Well, okay, look, I'll be honest with you. It depends what type of OSR you're talking about. It depends, which subdivision of the OSR you're talking about. It depends on a lot of things. The OSR is not a unified front. It is a cliquey, subdivided thing. And as Elfbait said, a lot of people just never encountered those rules, and that's the way it is. But there is also that segment of the OSR that you play by the rules as written. It's about the character, it's about the player, not the sheet. And it's like, I'm sorry to say that is the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. And it reminds me of, survivalist tough guys who want to prove how awesome they are by being hardcore D&D players. And it's just like, okay. I'm going to play and have fun. That's what I want to do. I'm not here to prove anything. I'm not here to show my endurance or my skill set. I'm here to have fun with my friends and tell a story and have a good time. So for me, I agree with Elf. A lot of them didn't encounter that stuff. Some of them will never touch anything that's not in the rule book, and some of them are using rules that 5e has brought in, and some of them are using rules that 4e had, and some of them are using rules that even the dreaded 3e had, and there's nothing new under the sun.
No. I mean, that's one quality of the OSR. It's like everything in the D&D community especially is just so splintered, and the OSR community is no different. It's just splintered off in all these subgroups, right? There's these people that are, my game's OSR. Well, I mean, whatever. I don't really care what the label is, but it's like some of these games are really just kind of more modern takes on the game. They're not really an old school take on the game or whatever, which is fine. Whatever you want to do, but the community's become really splintered, and so, some of these people have become really militant, and some of them have gone way off on the deep end where they're not really even playing old school D&D. They're playing something else, some bastardized version of 5th edition.
So in other words, we're seeing the microcosm of humanity in our gaming people.
Yes, pretty much. That's exactly what we're doing.
Well, but that's the other thing. I think we always have. I mean, one thing I would say that is a positive, but also kind of a negative, is that I think we're at least seeing people trying new and trying some slightly different things. But then the problem being is that they're all just trying to clone some version of D&D and say, yeah, no, mine's the real one, or
Right.
And it's just like you're not that different or special. But anyways,
Well, we're at the point now where everybody's just publishing their house rules as a retro clone.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, I mean, I'm a bit tired of it, even though I love D&D. I wish there would, I could see some, and there is some fresh stuff coming out, but I would like to see more stuff other than just D&D, right? I've got D&D coming out of my ears. I've got every edition of D&D back there, plus some, right? So I don't need any more D&D. I've got plenty of it. I'd like to see something, fresh, something
Back
new.
In my day, we used to throw rocks at each other, and if the rock hit, you took damage, and if it didn't, then your AC was too high, and that's the way we liked it.
You used rocks. We use untreated plutonium.
Luxury.
On the D&D front, I mean, I think it's great that there are a lot of retro clones. I'm not going to play many of them. I play OSE, but that's mainly because I'm kind of married to my game. I'm not going to play any other games pretty much. I'll play in games, but I won't run any other role-playing games. So what I don't want to see necessarily more D&D retro clone systems, but I do want to see retro clone or compatible supplements, stuff that I can easily merge into my game, or adventure modules, stuff like that. That's where my interest lies with the third party creations. But everybody's coming out with their own rule set now. It's like, come on, just give me supplements that are compatible or easily compatible.
Well, and this is the upside and the downside of the OGL, right?
Right.
The upside is there's tons of shit anybody can publish. The downside is it might not work for every version of D&D everyone plays, unlike the old days where we had one version of D&D. And then maybe you played an older version, but you knew how to adapt newer material to that older version.
Right. They were compatible easily.
Yeah. Now it's like, well, are we playing Minotaur Madness? Because in Minotaur Madness, you roll under your stats on 2d10, but if it's Tuesday, you have to roll over with the d20, and you have to put your hat on backwards and say "Hoppala" if you get a 20. Like it's sometimes some of the changes I see in these D&D hacks, I don't call them clones, I call them hacks because they're hacking the system, are a little... okay, maybe that was fun at your table, but I don't see it as a revolutionary change of the system. You know what I mean? And then some of them, they change the system so much. It's like, why are you bothering
to recognize it?
Shit. Put some other names on that and make it your own thing, Yes, Elfbait got my Fizbin reference. Yay! Elfbait and I are friends.
Yeah, no, I think that is definitely one thing that I had issues with the OGL, like literally from the beginning. Like, as soon as the OGL or like D&D 3rd edition and the original OGL comes out, that's all you saw. Everybody and their dog shifted over. Oh, we're just going to make stuff for 3rd edition.
Yes, and one of the greatest crimes that ever happened was the Farscape role-playing game. I absolutely love Farscape. No, I'm not joking. I love Farscape.
No,
I am a huge fan of Farscape.
I love Farscape too.
And that D20 game was a fucking abomination.
It was terrible.
As a result of its failure, we will never see a real Farscape RPG ever again. Really bothers me that it got pissed away on that D20 boom. Hey, Victor.
Yeah, that initial D20 boom was just, oh my God. It was horrible. Like
Vampire D20,
everything.
Remember the Cthulhu D20? They were converting everything to D20. It was insanity.
Deadlands D20, Rokugan D20. Like if it
Legend
was a
of the Five
game,
Rings D20.
Yeah, every single thing was D20. And you occasionally got some people trying to do something different. Like I remember Spycraft was a big one. That actually tried to do something a little bit different, not just
and Fantasy Craft afterwards,
yeah. But yeah, and I think that's sort of plagued the industry since. So I don't know. I like the idea of the OGL. just from the freedom that it gave people to, I can make a supplement, I can make an adventure, whatever. And because so one thing from my perspective is I tend to look a lot at the business side of things. Like if you're doing this and you're putting it out there, yes, you can just put it out for free, but why not make a few bucks off of it? Again, not everybody wants to do that. That's just how my brain works.
I feel like you're attacking me.
A little bit, actually.
No. Well, the reason why I put up what I put up as pay what you want is because it's not ready. It's not baked. It's not finished.
Sure.
When it's finished, I'll sell it. But I don't feel people should have to pay, unlike some of the major corporations that are out there right now making RPG product. People should have to pay for access to playtest material that I need their feedback on and I need their input on.
Hello, Bethesda.
Marvel, like Jesus, everybody's done it recently. I'm waiting for WotC to do it,
Yeah, no, and it's just but that's why I say I like the I like the fact that the OGL gave that outlet to people, but I do think it made a lot of people just really lazy. So
you think?
I was already lazy.
So I had a friend of mine in Vancouver who was one of the ENnies judges back when the ENnies first started. And he was an ENnies judge for probably 5-7 years, which meant every year they got physical copy of all the products in contention from the publishers. So he had an entire room full of game books, 5 shelves high, 20 feet by 10 feet by 20 feet by 10 feet type of situation. Like he had a shit ton of books. 90% of it was D20 crap.
Mm-hmm.
D20 was a pox. It was a gift and a pox all at the same time. It was a Trojan horse.
Yeah, I agree.
It was a broken Trojan condom by the sound of it.
Ooh. That's some spicy talk there, sir.
I've been streaming for 4.5 hours, so I'm a little loopy. So yeah, expect the spice.
True. The spice must flow.
So I guess we should ask, obviously we can't quote unquote do anything about it. We're not gonna stop anything, and I don't think we necessarily should. But what advice would we give towards players as to how to navigate all of the OSR stuff going on?
Read reviews.
Mm-hmm.
For the love of God, read reviews and comments on DriveThruRPG. Read them. If people have blogs where they're reviewing stuff, read them. If people are running video YouTube reviews, watch them. You will get an opinion, and you'll know pretty quick if something's a piece of shit or of quality. And as you get to know the reviewers that you're reading, you'll know what their tastes are and see if they align with yours, and then you'll have a better idea where to go. There's a couple of reviewers on DriveThru I will not name, who if I see their review, I pay attention to it because they've never steered me wrong so far. It's just the way it is. But also look at the comments section, because that's where the publisher gets to interact with their audience, and you'll get a very quick understanding of A, what mistakes they're making, and B, how responsive they are to the audience they're trying to get money out of. If they're combative and they're hostile, don't give them your money. If they're not responding, don't give them your money, because I can tell you, we get the emails every time someone posts a comment on something we do or asks a question. We get an email telling us what's going on. So if they're just ignoring it, they're not someone you want to be dealing with. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree to that. The companies that understand that you are a customer, not just that,
you're not a customer, you're the audience, man.
Or audience, customer.
You're more than a customer, you're the audience,
Okay.
It's more theater than it is McDonald's.
Right, but my point being, that they do rely on you, not just that you are there to consume their glorious vision and heap praise upon them.
Whoa, that's not what they're supposed to do. I'm closing my company down. Fuck that. I was here for heaping praise and my glorious product.
Well, but I mean, I think the praise comes if you're honestly just trying to entertain the customer base. If you are honestly looking at what does the audience want, what can we do to either make their games better or give them something new, the fan base is going to come along. Whereas if they're just coming in as like, oh, look, I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, it's like, I don't care how good your stuff is, I'm not interested in it anymore.
I feel like you're attacking me again. No, I'm kidding.
No, you'll know, Bear.
Oh, I know.
Come on, Brian, attack him.
Come on, Brian, attack me. Stab me with your spicy words. And I will act, Gary. I will act like I've never acted before.
Bruce Lombardo here says, do not forget to mention Big Geek Emporium. I'm not 100% sure. I think they're sort of an adjacent to DriveThru RPG. Bruce, correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, I think, but he's trying to open it up. So it's an alternative to our DriveThru RPG. I think it's a fairly new company.
Big Geek Emporium is?
I think.
Yeah, it's a DriveThru RPG alternative. The biggest issue that you're going to have there is that it's well, how do I want to put it? It's for at least so far, like I've looked at it and it's not bad. I mean, it's another platform, but they've kind of gone the, we'll let you do whatever, and which I don't necessarily disagree with, but just some of it I look at it and I'm just, I don't know, I haven't been impressed with anything to pick up yet. So
okay, so Bruce says here, Big Geek Emporium is an indie publisher site. They're giving 100% of the sales to creators for 2023.
Oh, that's nice.
So definitely worth looking if you haven't heard of them.
Let's see. Sorry, pulling up there we go. All right, so highest rated indie content. So we've got
Mutants.
Well, that sounds awesome.
Rovers and Riches. Keep that alliteration going.
Alliteration, R&R. Hey guys, want to do a little R&R?
A D10 skirmish game on a post-Forsaken planet.
Post-Forsaken.
Here,
Post-Forsaken used to be my favorite breakfast cereal, actually.
They're apparently having a convention in Saginaw, $30 for the weekend. So if anybody's near Saginaw, check them out.
So that's...
Where the hell is Saginaw? Upper Peninsula?
I have no idea.
Saginaw, Michigan. So
yeah, I know it's Michigan.
Yeah, is it the Upper Peninsula is what I want to know.
Blue Dungeon Generator and Geomorphs?
No, it's not. It's down near Bay City. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't think it was in the UP.
Youpie! You're a Youper.
Dungeons and Delvers.
Dungeons and Delvers.
So there's another cool rule book. I want to see adventures. I want to see one-shot adventures I can insert into my ongoing campaign.
Insert into your what now?
My ongoing campaign.
That's not what I heard, but I have dyslexia.
Well, that's because you have dirty mind. Your ears are plugged up.
I have dirty Lexia in my ears.
So here's Atomic Punk from Basic Expert, which is interesting. It says Atomic Punk 2160 is an OSR compatible game, but it also uses the 2D10 atomic system. So then I'm curious, how is this OSR compatible?
Have to ask the Basic Expert. There we are. He's explaining it right there.
Oh, okay. because of the OGL, you get two versions: the more pure BX version and a version that is still very BX under the hood, but also works on a 2D10 system. Hey, Bear, look at that 2D10.
Shut up. My question is when does BX start? Like, so one of the things with Bastard Sword I made sure to do is every time I shorten it, I write BSD, right? Because I don't want people saying this game BS, because it means bullshit. I'm still waiting for BX to become a meme. Oh, that game's BX, like, I don't know. Bull excrement, it's BX.
I think it's very funny that when you put the 2D12 quote, it covers Bear's face entirely.
I thought the same thing. That was fantastic.
Do that again, please. Do that again. I want to see that. I missed it. Look at that. Dale. Hey, Dale. Fuck you. This guy. Fuck you.
So, anyway, so yeah, no, there's Big Geek Emporium. There's another one I've heard of. I cannot remember it off the top of my head though. Which I mean that is absolutely one thing that is an issue at the moment is just the market capture by drive-through RPG.
But that'll be anybody that's not drive-through RPG. Oh, I'm echoing.
Someone's speakers?
Hello?
Not mine because I don't have speakers. I just have headphones.
No, mine has audio cutting for that. I never get an echo off me.
Echo.
Has someone got YouTube open? Maybe.
No.
Not me.
Okay.
All right. Looks like it's
I don't hear
away.
an echo, so you're the only one hearing it, Sean. Maybe it's in your mind.
No, I heard it too, but
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, we share a brain that these days, so yeah. So in terms of Big Geek, I think like it's one of those things. Alternatives to drive-through RPG will only grow if you give them patronage. So check them out.
Yeah, and that's honestly the only thing that's been my main issue is just not seeing anything. And actually, I'm glad that I took that. I took it off the screen because Sexual Holocaust by the Red Room.
Yeah, so as Bruce said, they are very much into free speech absolutionists, absolutists. And therefore, you're going to get stuff you don't agree with. And I'm okay.
You're not required to buy it.
Exactly.
No, absolutely. I am not trying to say they need to take it down or anything like that. I'm just, I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to make a game and see if I can. This is the controversial game I'm going to make. Okay, I'm going to call it X-Postles, and it's going to be the premise that Jesus is a mutant and he has 12 mutants on his side, and they're fighting Satan in the desert, and they are the X-Postles, and it's going to be an extreme religious comic in X-Men 90s style. Well, that's never.
I would read the hell out of it.
Right? It would get fucking like no red flag, red flag, red flag. So it's a good thing that there's a place for it, and it's a better thing that people learn to just go, not for me. Move along.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think that can be done anywhere. I think and I know I have the same problem. Drive-through RPG is ridiculously
censorious.
Not going to disagree with that. I was going to say convenient.
Yes,
their desktop app, the app on my iPad, makes very, very easy to use. As opposed to, any other sorts, it's like, okay, great, I can get the PDF. And now how do I actually load that thing on my iPad? Yes, I know how to do it, folks. It's just annoying.
Sure you do, you Luddite. You're a neo-Luddite with your own webpage, neoluddite.com.
So, and James, says, would be nice if they provide filters so people can search their site without seeing things they don't want to.
So that's something I agree with. I agree with rating systems, or at least classification systems, so people can do that. That's one of the things where I disagree heavily with the free speech absolutists, is that they don't even want ratings on things. Remember I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember the record ratings that came out in the 90s, and what a stink show that was, with people being opposed to it. I have no problem with sending MA12 or MA17 or NR7, whatever you want to put on it, that says, hey, this might not be for you. You know what I mean? And then that way you can have that choice. That's a good thing to have. There's nothing wrong with that.
And from personal experience, that's a design thing that can always be implemented. Like Drive-Thru RPG, they have adult content on there. You have to specifically opt in order to even yes. But you have to specifically no, it's just like occasionally like I'll click through to something, it's like that doesn't exist. I'm like, I just clicked through the link from somebody. Well, like it didn't seem like it was that big a deal, but you go through and it's like, yeah, no, you're not allowed to see this because of the settings on your Drive-Thru RPG account. Like, oh, okay, well, that explains what this content is.
It's like seeing porn on Twitter. You got to say yes.
Right. Jason Harris brings up a fantastic question. Now, what system is Bear going to use for XPossibles?
2D12. Here's how it works. It's a really cool system. You have one stat, which is called X, and it is the determination of everything you do. And it rates from 1 to 12, obviously. And when it's time for you to do an action, the GM picks up the 2D12 and throws them at your fucking face as hard as he can.
With his right hand, and with his left hand, he gives you the finger.
Exactly. You know, and if he hits you in the eyes, it's a critical.
It's a new visceral experience.
X-Postals is a different game I play where you're all mutant mail carriers who got fired and now you fight crime.
Oh, that is fantastic.
By the way, I want you to notice Dale's comment. This is why I get nothing done. Because every time I have a fart of an idea, Dale's like, we should do that. I'll help you. Let's do it. And then vanishes from my world and never helps me.
Okay, I'll be honest. I don't want to play X-Possibles. I want to read the comic for
Oh, no. When you read X-Possibles, you'll want to play X-Possibles.
Well, I'll have to read it first.
I can't wait to throw down with X-Judas.
X-Judas.
Yeah. He's extreme Judas. He has the powers of the Garden of Gethsemane. He can summon the plants and shoot silver pieces at you, but only 30, and then he has to recharge. Hi, lapsed Christian. How you doing?
No, that's the funny thing about that. From a personal standpoint, like I as an active Christian, you know, like I know so many people that would be like, you can't say that. I'm like,
you can't say that. What's wrong with you? You can't write Jesus in your book.
Number one, I fully believe God and Jesus have senses of humor and are willing.
Look at the world,
right? The platypus. Let's be honest. But I fully believe they're like, you know, hey, Bear's got a crazy idea again. Oh, yeah, let's let him run with that one. I firmly believe that would happen.
Yeah, no, that's bad. You shouldn't indulge my insanity. You should be forcing me to work on Bastard Sword.
We did that last night. You need a break and let things percolate.
It's been a day. You need a break, man. Fuck. Listen, I think the market is oversaturated with 5e product right now. It's just like at the D20 glut. But there's fortunately enough other stuff you can get. The big problem for me is if I'm in Sean's shoes and I'm looking for single-use modules I can stick in, DM's Guild is my best option because that's what 90% of the DM's Guild material is. It's adventures that people have written. You're going to have to convert them for your AD&D, but that should be fairly fucking easy for someone who knows AD&D as well as you do. But if you go to Drive-Thru RPG and you start searching for stuff, you can get lost in some really weird rabbit holes trying to find stuff that's of any value.
Can get lost? I have gotten lost.
Fair enough. With the X-Possibles, is that a 777 point system to divide over your stats? and is the cleric use of the Last Supper to heal? Oh, this is my body. Oh my God! Doesn't stop.
I'm sorry.
No, Bruce, it's a 2d12 point build system.
Yeah, it's. I'm sorry. This is like the most.
You roll
fantastic
2d12
tangent.
for your one stat, which is X, as I already said. So I don't know why you're seven. So your X is worth 777. Then I guess I don't know. You just never read the rules, and then you bitch at me and say it's bad game design. See what I'm saying?
Are you kidding? This is playing out how almost every game plays out. You know, nobody reads the rules and they bitch about the rules.
Listen, okay, let me get up my numerology. That's the other game I'm going to release called Kabbalah. Yeah, game.
Well, and actually, I think that's definitely something that we should push more. Like, so Kevin,
random religions is role playing game.
No.
I don't think we should be pushing that there, Brian, because eventually someone's going to create Mormon the Apocalypse, and you're not going to like it.
Tracy Hickman.
Yes.
Sandy Peterson.
Yes.
I'm trying to think
Larson.
of who else.
Are we just naming famous Mormons right now? What are we doing?
No. Specifically in the game design space.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yes.
And especially like with Sandy Peterson and Tracy Hickman, like you cannot get much more old school than that, anyways. So since we're talking old school revival, but no point that I wanted to make was not just in the sense of D&D or the OSR or Big Geek Emporium, but doing more things for some of the smaller portions of the industry. Like I was listening to Legion of Myth on Sunday. They were interviewing Kevin Simbita and Sean Roberson from Palladium, and somebody was asking, it was like about the Rifter magazine book that they put out. That's basically just fan submitted content, and they straight up said 70% of our submissions are for riffs. It's our biggest game. It's what everybody submits stuff for.
Yeah.
But if you actually want to get published, give us anything else.
Yeah, absolutely. Then the ironic part was he issued the podcast a cease and desist order right afterwards, which was brutal. Sorry, that's a joke for people who don't know. Kevin Symbiota is a little litigious.
Dale says Ex-Apostles, the Utah, the Mormon edition. No,
sorry, excuse me. That's Ex-Apostles, Utah Saints.
No. Ex-Apostles Modern.
That's in Korea, sir. That's where you find Ex-Apostles Modern. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now, I am looking forward to Ex-Apostles, the Rapture, wherein nobody shows up for the game. Aren't you playing tonight? We're playing Ex-Apostles Rapture. Only Steve showed up because he's a sinner.
Salt Lake was one of the last strongholds of humanity in the old World of Darkness finale.
Well, that's because vampires don't like salt, I guess. I don't know. Utah Saints was epic. Thank you, Victor. At least someone got that joke. Thank you.
I didn't get that one.
Yeah, it's a electronica band, Utah Saints. They're really good.
Oh, got it. I got nothing. All right.
So, it's like when the whole X-Force thing. Okay, so this joke, Elfbait, came from when me and my friends in the 90s were in a comic book store and we were looking at all the X titles and we were like, what the fuck are they going to do next? And X-Apostles came out of my mouth. And we went from there with the joke. But you guys have taken it far further than we did.
Oh, you think this is far? Buckle up, bucko.
Buckle up, bucko, or was that fuckle up, fucko? I don't know. I'm a little confused.
Clean your ears, Bear.
Accent.
Little of column A, little of column B.
Ooh, we're going kinky. I love it.
Buckle up, Buckaroo Banzai.
No matter where we go, there I am.
My my ex back in college would always refer to me as Mr. Perfect.
Tommy Perfect. Perfect Tommy, please. Mr. Perfect's a wrestler. Exponentials, polygamy, polyhedron. Jesus Christ. Say that 3 times fast. Marriage. Marriage is what brings us together today. Anyway. Okay, so what is
So
the
you say I
goal?
do? I do. I do. I do. I do. I do. I do.
That's the joke I was looking for.
I'm with the Brute Squad. You are the Brute Squad. I have to submit my cover sheet and 12-page rule set for X-Fossils. Zeg Media, a fully sponsored subdivision of Lakeside Games, would be happy to consider publishing this.
Especially if it's mass marketable and fun.
And offensive. The more offensive you can make it, Brian, you left your mic on for that, buddy. That was
it's
hilarious.
fine. I just. Oh man.
And Bruce is here. Oh, well, hold my beer. Offensive? Hold my beer.
I broke the Mormon. Does that mean I bought him? Ah, shit.
Yep. Packy thinks, Brian, you have to move to Montreal.
Sorry, buddy. You're gonna be. I got a perfect closet for you to live in.
Forget that noise. Dear
What's
Lord.
up, all? Hello, RPG Grandma. What's up?
Good morning, RPG Grandma. Jeez.
We're being
Holy crap.
sacrilegious, so stick around because
Sacrilegious.
Oh shit, that beats what I was gonna say. All right, you win. Oh my god. Ermagerd. Oh my god. Okay, so back on point. What is the point? Cody, what's the point? Sean, someone in the chat, tell us what the point was.
Well, since we're talking about ex-apostles and religion, I think we're creating a new religion for D&D games, for something clerics can follow.
Awesome.
Other than that, I had no idea what the point was. We were talking RPG philosophy, but goofing around is very much in the old school, and I guess in the new school, it's just general RPG stuff. People goof around.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And
so
get
we're on
sidetracked
point.
and,
We're
you
on
know.
point.
Yeah. Blaspheme us.
Yeah.
Oh, is that
I
is that
just
what
saw
you is
that
that one of the ex-apostles call it like basically like flame on? Blaspheme us! I am holy fire! Like Jesus Christ. That's who I'm playing. I call it. I call dibs on holy fire. Extreme clerics.
I'm just having fun with the chat at this point. Dear Lord,
Just because they
everybody.
heal you doesn't mean they like you. Ex-apostles 2d12 action. Jesus saves, the rest of you take full damage.
If you roll double 12, Bear will come and give you his middle finger in person.
Our heroes meet in the mosque during a night of gambling and revival when a poor fisherman stumbles in with a swordfish stuck in his back. Roll 2d12 for perception.
I got a 12. It doesn't mean shit. The power of Christ compels you. I don't understand this rule book. It's just like a holy text. You get out of it what you want. It's all the rules are allegory. None of them are actually like rules. They're just like lessons that you could possibly interpret any way you want. Endless rules lawyering.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, I'm going to hell, and you're all coming with me because you laughed.
Joke's on you. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in hell.
Joke's on you. Hell's real.
All right. So, anyways, we've got we've got the OSR philosophy. Clearly, can be used to make brand new games on the fly.
Well, okay. Look, here's something. Let's be serious for a minute. Something I don't like about OSR philosophy is you can use BX to play superheroes. You can use BX to play sci-fi. You can use BX to play My Little Pony. You can play BX. I'm so sick of that. I don't want D&D superheroes. I don't want D&D sci-fi. I want games that are based on those things, right? I want games that are designed to speak to the style of that type of a game or the tropes of that type of a game. D&D is designed to do D&D. I know I'm wrong. Go ahead, tell me why I'm wrong.
I don't think you're wrong. Actually, 100%.
I mean, having overlapping rules that where there's some compatibility, sure, but yeah, you don't want it to be complete. I mean, that's what happened with D20, right?
Yep.
It was like, let's make everything compatible, and then everything was D20. So no, I like the fact that BX is BX D&D. That sings to me as that niche.
Mighty
say.
Morphin Jesus Rangers.
Rangers.
What the fuck, Elfbait? I just saw that. Holy shit! Sorry, Sean.
That's okay. I mean, we're goofing around, but yeah, like I said, I mean, I very briefly I bought the Marvel superhero set in the '80s with the percentage. I played a handful of games. We never did a full campaign, but I love the fact that it was so different, so distinct. It wasn't D&D. D&D was D&D. I don't play Monopoly when I want to play Sorry. Right? Not that I ever want to play Sorry, but
no, it's our national sport in Canada. Come on, man.
No, and honestly, I mean that's
Twin bolts of green lightning strike down from the heavens. Roll 2d12. Roll to a tone.
RPG Grammar really does support your comment there, Baird. Sometimes you want a game that just works different than D&D,
which is what Sean just said as well. Which you're right, Grandma, and it's 100% on point. That's the truth of the matter.
Yeah, and I think like I was saying earlier, where prior to D20, you would see different games. You would see people trying different things. And I think that was a benefit. Now, I will agree with Ryan Dancy a little bit in that everything was so fractured that nobody was getting any real traction. And at least according to him, the D20 system and the OGL basically saved, D&D. Yes, Bear.
He's full. I'm sorry. I love Ryan Dancy, and some people feel that the OGL was the greatest gift given to gamers. But Vampire the Masquerade, Champions, what else? Shadowrun, Big Eyes, Small Mouth, Cyberpunk. There were tons of people getting fucking traction. It's just D&D was no longer getting traction.
I hadn't thought about it that way. That actually makes more sense.
I'm just saying, man, like there's this thing that happened in the late 90s and the early 2000s where D&D was fucking dead. Okay? It was dead. It was done. It was over. It had had its day. People who were playing it had bought the shit they were going to buy, and it was done. Then D20 comes along with the OGL, and we get this revival and all these people. And the big thing that sold 3rd edition or D20 was not current players going, oh, it's a new version of D&D, I'm going to play that. It was people who had stopped role-playing 10 years earlier in the early 90s, around 2nd edition's heyday, who suddenly went, hey, D&D's back. I used to play that when I was in college, and now I'm a 30-year-old lawyer. I'm going to play that and buy all the products. And that was, and I remember reading an article where they were talking about that was their major sales market at that point in time, was lapsed D&Ders coming home. The problem is that the D20 glut happened, right? And a lot of game stores got brutally burned on that because they wound up with just shelves and shelves of product and shit they couldn't sell. 3.5 came out and caused a real seismic schism in the industry at that point in time, and led to a lot of the stuff that becomes later the OSR after that point in time. People seem to forget that 3.5 was very controversial when it hit, and it was a very big deal when it dropped, and it pissed off a lot of people because they were looking at their library of all that D20 product they bought going, I gotta buy all this shit again? Like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And it hurt them. Then comes 4th, because they've now lost complete control of their own market. So 4th edition is going to bring everybody home. I like 4th. I'm weird. I enjoy 4th. I've had fun every time I've played 4th. But Pathfinder was the clear industry and community response. They wanted more of the same. Okay. They got more of the same. And then they all got sick of more of the same. And what happened? Everybody and their uncle produced a game. 5th edition came out and electrified the market. And now we're right back where we were at 3.5. There's a ton of shit on the market. No one thing has the market locked down. No one thing is the it game to play. And everybody's holding their breath, waiting for that next big thing. And it's clear from the reaction, 1 D&D ain't it. Pathfinder 2 ain't it. Shadows Dark and Deep, or whatever that game is that she put out. What's it called?
Shadow Dark.
Shadow Dark. That's close. It had its moment. It really did well, but I'm not seeing a huge amount of attention being paid to it outside of the diehards that are really into it. So what is the next big thing is my question. Will the OSR bring it? Will it be some new idea that no one's thought of before? Or are we now finally at peak RPG? We are at the point where people will play what they want. They'll support what they want. Some people make a couple of dollars out of it. And WotC and Paizo and the big guys will try and bilk a little bit more out with their releases and their fanfare and their la-da-da. I don't know. But I remember when Vampire launched. I remember when Vampire hit, and it hit like a fucking knife in the back, man. It was like Christopher Lee himself was assassinating you on the fucking Western Front. No one knew what the fuck was going on. No one knew what was going on. And then suddenly, what the fuck's happening to me? And everybody's like, have you played Vampire? You should play Vampire. Vampire. It was like suddenly cults were forming around Vampire, for fuck's sake. But it changed the entire industry. DM Scotty, I don't think so. I think he's like Index Card RPG or any of those guys. He's got a niche market that is his fan base, and he supports them very well, and he does well off of them. But he's never going to be, I think, the industry-wide boom. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. You tell me, guys. I'm just throwing this out as my thought. Actually, Xpossils will be the next big game. That's what it's going to be. We're going to revolutionize the game.
No, and I like all ones. The reason that I put his comment up there is I think that's one of the things that we're talking about is, trying other things, even other classics. Like I would love to give Traveler a try. I would love to actually sit down and play Rifts, play Palladium.
Why do you hate yourself? I'm kidding.
No, no, I think as I've watched like Legion of Myth covers a ton of Palladium, and I usually tune into them on Sundays after church, and I have to agree. I don't think the system is bad. I just think it comes down to the fact that the books are horribly organized. And very difficult to use.
I'm sorry, are we turning this to what's wrong with Palladium? Because I've got a list.
No, we're not turning it into Palladium. It's more just, what are things to try? Even if it's OSR, even if it's new things, trying different things that aren't necessarily, D&D. Like, if you think about it, Palladium technically is OSR. It's an old school game. It's essentially a derivative of D&D because that's what everyone was playing at the time anyways. So, I don't know.
I'm sorry, Pale Rider wants to know where Palladium hurt me. Right here.
Oh, the hardback fell on your head. I see.
In my heart is where Palladium hurt me, sir. Fucking loved you, man.
So what was your point about Palladium, Brian?
Oh shit. Burn.
No, I'm serious. Like, what were you? It seemed like you were going somewhere with like.
No, my point was just that I think it could technically be included in OSR just because it has been around for a while. Essentially it was a spin-off of D&D. It was Simbita saying, I don't like how they did this. I'm going to come up with my own rules and move this direction.
Yeah, it is.
Blackjack and hookers. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So someone mentioned Savage Worlds earlier. We were beyond peak Savage Worlds now. Savage Worlds has plateaued into its fan base, and that's it. It's no longer the it game. I think. Hang on, scrolling back. Victor made a good point when he said the it game won't come at you when you look for it. It'll sneak up on us, which is exactly what Vampire did. It's going to sneak up on us. It's going to be some little game that's going to hit well and explode and be big. What that's going to be, not a fantasy game. Fantasy will always have to deal with the 10,000-pound gorilla, D&D. Right? No one ever, other than one time Pathfinder got real lucky because D&D WotC shit the bed. You're not going to see that happen again, right? It's just not going to happen. But it can happen with something sci-fi. We're long overdue for a sci-fi game to dominate the market. Okay, my cat disagrees completely. He says that what we must play is we must play Litterbox and Lederhosen. It's going to be a real game where we play Germans who have to go into the basement and change the cat litter before the demons get us.
Really, a good Star Wars game could easily fill almost a D&D niche. You plucky adventurers, and then you just have a ship and you can fly to whatever planet suits the adventure you want to have. This is the nature of that world, though. That universe just opens it wide up. But if you want that's a fantasy. If you want more traditional sci-fi, I wouldn't even know where to begin. It would depend on what kind of sci-fi you wanted. There's Star Trek sci-fi, but how fun would a Star Trek game be if, you'd have to know the Star Trek lore pretty well. I mean, Bear, you played Star Trek. You see your favorite game, right? Yeah. You'd have to know the Star Trek lore and the world pretty well. But at the same time, are you the command of a ship, in which case you're the captain and first officer, or are you a bunch of lower ranked characters, in which case you're pretty much ordered to do whatever mission you're on?
Yeah, or you go the Prime Directive, where you play a specialized away team who gets sent down to the planet because it's stupid to put all your officers in one shuttlecraft. There's options and there's ways to do things.
I've never played Star Frontiers. Any of you have experience with that one?
Which one?
Star Frontiers.
It's a weird game. Hi, Beans. Beans says hello, everybody.
All Ones is pushing for Traveler. Problem is, I think it's going to have to be a new game as opposed to an older one. Another thing I would say is it also can't be a licensed property. Whatever.
Okay, so we'll make Traverser. Nothing like Traveler.
We'll play Walker in space.
Elfbait's still here.
No.
I remember. Elfbait's
Blackstar.
played. Elfbait's played Star Frontiers. I knew that. I just know he was still here. How do you enjoy it, Elfbait? I remember you talking very positively about it. And now we wait while he types.
But my point about it has to be a non-licensed property is because of the fact that the license can always be pulled, right, or lost or whatever reason, and then that game just dies. Like D&D has its own thing, so that whoever owns the trademark can essentially just keep putting it out and playing off of that trademark. Whereas, we've had West End Star Wars, we've had WotC Star Wars, we're now on Fantasy Flight Star Wars.
No, didn't they lose that? Isn't it done? Or they still got the contract? I thought they lost the license. Fantasy Flight got sold to Asmodee. Asmodee essentially split it up. They took the miniatures games and gave it to one company. They took the role-playing games and gave it to another company, and Fantasy Flight is back to just being board games. But it's essentially still the same thing. But my point is, we have 3 different Star Wars games, not counting any, fan conversions out there, but 3 official ones. And, so if you're doing an official Star Wars game, you have that problem of the license, and it's any property with a license, to be honest with you. So,
yeah, I totally agree with you. I will say, like, sci-fi games, I've always loved sci-fi, but like sci-fi role-playing games, there hasn't been many that fit the bill for me. I think, back in the day, we used to play a lot of sci-fi games with just generic systems like GURPS, and I know everybody's like, oh, GURPS, whatever. Or, we would, amazing engine system. I'm getting really showing my age there. And, so we would always use universal systems and create our own science fiction universes. Star Wars, of course, we all love Star Wars. I played the hell out of the Star Wars D6 game and loved it. You know what I'd really like to see for a science fiction game is like a 50s like ray gun sci-fi
Ray
game. I
Punk,
don't know.
like a Ray Punk game.
Yeah, like a Forbidden Planet kind of Lost in Space kind of thing.
Retro sci-fi. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that'd be really fun and cool and entertaining too. And I don't know.
Space.
I don't know if there's anything on the market like that. I know there's
Fallout.
Yeah, there's a couple. There's a couple of small ones.
okay. I know I've
Fallout's
got one
not
that's
space
like
traveling, but it's got
Yeah.
the retro sci-fi feel, and they just did a Fallout
Sure.
RPG, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the Flash Gordon game, and then there's one Rocket Rangers or something. You know, there's stuff.
Cosmic Patrol, but I've heard that one's more like
Right. I have Cosmic Patrol. That was the one I was going to say I do have, but it's like one of those narrative like trade-off games where everybody like trades off being the game master and stuff like that. It's got all these gimmicks.
Ew.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't like that either. Not a fan. But
I'm a control freak. I'm the game master.
But I would like to see a good science fiction game.
Beans. The cat's name is Beans. There's two. There's Beans and Misty, but Misty's camera shy. He doesn't like to be on camera. They're brothers. On my channel, people have gotten to know them since they were kittens and they first arrived in my life a year or so ago, and all the hijinks that have ensued. Okay, so sci-fi is hard to make the it game or the big game out of because ultimately everybody has different tastes in sci-fi, right?
Mm-hmm.
You might like Star Wars, you might like Star Trek, you might like Ray Punk, you might like, 2001: A Space Odyssey hard sci-fi, you might like The Expanse, right? So generic sci-fi is going to be the thing. I think one of the big things, and it's something other than Pathfinder, whenever an it game comes along that isn't fantasy, it's because it's tied to a world or a setting or an idea like Vampire was, right? It's this thing where you're not just getting a game system, you're getting a setting with it as well. You're playing in its mythos.
Yeah, I agree. I think that would be key if you're making a new sci-fi game. Actually, that's something I miss about games is they had all these cool settings attached to the game, right?
You're using my words against me. No, I agree. It's one of the things I lament about the D20 model is that it ended the creativity of new game system with new universe,
Yeah. And they did that a lot. I kind of miss that. I don't see that very often, no.
Well, I think that's just part of the same issue of the fact that nobody's quote unquote making new games. Not that nobody is. I'm just using that as a general term. Due to
we agree that it's the 80-20 model.
Right. Yeah.
80% of the market is controlled by 20% of the companies, and it's all designed for D&D or some D&D type clone. And 20% of the market 20% of the market. 20% of the companies are controlling 80% of the market, and it's fucking D&D. The remaining 80% of us are fighting for a little 20% fucking slice of the pie, and it's awfully full of. It's chock full of nuts, and those nuts are D&D clones.
Yes. So,
Sum it up.
Yeah.
On that note, good night.
That is definitely a problem when we just don't disagree with each other that often. I like what you said.
I agree. You made a good point. Let's stare admiringly at each other.
Yeah. I'm going to stare at the comments and see if I can find some controversy. No, they're agreeing with us.
So,
God damn it, people. Where's your salt tonight?
Bruce Lombardo says, my biggest gripe with Pathfinder Starfinder is the setting. It always feels like a bad product meant to be homogenized so it will splat the largest audience.
Agreed. There are good ideas in Golarion, but they're spread out with lots of tropey bullshit.
Yeah, I mean they're trying to fit.
Good night, Tabletop Crusaders.
They're trying to fit everything in. I haven't delved too much into the Pathfinder lore.
I absolutely love Sandpoint. Sandpoint is an awesome starting town to bring a group out of. It's fantastically well designed, and it's a very good, small, humble village to work out from. I also absolutely love Cheliax, the Infernal Empire. That was the breath of fresh air for me. It was the idea of saying, what if you took Ayus and made it a functional society of Satan worshippers? And what would that look like as a society? And it's really fun, and it's really interesting. But then there's Fantasy Egypt, Fantasy Norway, Fantasy Greece, Fantasy this, Fantasy that. I'm guilty of the same shit in the West, but at least I'm trying to make it, cohesive and different. I'm not just going Greece, France, England, you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm trying to make it differently, but it's not working out. Because if you go too far off a field, you're doing Talsantla, you're doing Empire of the Petalthorn, Sky Realms of Jorun. That's what you wind up doing, where you have to spend so much time explaining to the person, this is a Fundark, and Fundarks are, and then 18 pages on Fundark culture for them to understand the Fundarks.
And let's be honest, at the end of the day, the Fundark is a rabbit. But you didn't just call it a rabbit.
Shit. You can see my notes. I'm going to kill you.
No, I mean, well, and that's actually one thing that I heard it somewhere, probably a writing podcast or something, where it was talking about how, if you're trying to say a small, furry creature with long ears that moves in a hopping type motion, it's just like,
but has legs like a kangaroo and carries its young in a pouch.
Well, but it's just like it's a rabbit. You're trying to say rabbit, but coming up with a different name because you want it to fit into your fantasy world. It's like, who cares? Nobody's going to remember that.
It's a flumdinger. Get it right.
Yeah.
hey, that's our word, sir. You don't get to use that word.
Fine, it's a dindleflinger.
Yeah, well, same to you, pal.
Oh.
Yes, George Lucas could produce a 256 page on how to cook and serve Fundarks. Tank Girl has a game, Dr. Death. West End Games put out a Tank Girl role-playing game.
They did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure somebody's put out
the Tank Girl game movie.
There's an IP, somebody's made a game out of it.
I'm looking forward to the Old Spice role-playing game now.
It's got special stats on the Fabio versus the Old Spice guy escapades. Did you not see those commercials?
Point. Now I'm on a boat.
Yeah.
Wendy's did an RPG. I mean, why wouldn't Old Spice do one?
Yeah, it's true.
So, actually, that's an interesting question. What is the most off-the-wall role-playing game you've either played or owned?
Well, first, All for One's Old Spice is my Spice Girl's name, so... The most off-the-wall game I've owned or played... Teenagers from Outer Space.
Okay. Mage?
No, I'm boring. I've only played mainstream stuff. I mean,
Cody?
I've played off the wall in that, I've had a DM just go crazy, and ruin a regular game system.
Actually, I've played a lot of different game systems and whatever, but the most off-the-wall shit I actually played was not a certain game system, but a certain game campaign, which was my high school D&D campaigns, because our game master was batshit crazy, over the top nuts. Like, I mean, it's legendary, the stories that we had in these games. We could sit here for hours and I could tell stories about this, 12 elemental demons, 3 Terraskews, and a demon and a demigod, created out of a cat familiar. This we created songs and tales out of the craziness of this campaign. At the time, I actually hated it because I just wanted to play like straight up like D&D. We never went in dungeons and did all this stuff. It'd be like these crazy over the top, just insane fucking things. We never fought like goblins and went into the dungeon or, did all this stuff. It would always just be these over the top insane things. And everybody was these over the top insane characters. But it was looking back on it, it was insanely fun but it was also probably the most insane, kooky games I've ever played, and it was just D&D. So,
okay. So one that I actually owned. I do not know what happened to it, and I actually kind of would like to go back and see it now. Macho Women with Guns.
Played that.
It's supplement Renegade Nuns on Wheels that added the vehicle rules, and then the flying supplement Bat-Winged Bimbos from Hell. The 90s were an amazing time.
I played the Super Babes role-playing game once.
I've not heard of that one.
So it's based on a comic company out of Femforce, out of Florida. They do Americomics, and they do what's called Good Girl comic art. And they do these comics where it's this all-female superhero team, and it's called Femforce. And they made a role-playing game out of it called Super Babes, and it was shit.
Okay, we get this whole build-up.
and it was shit.
But I was in that period where any superhero game I would try. So I played shit like Champions of Los Angeles, Heroes and Heroines. I played anything that came out that was superheroes, and always went back to Marvel TSR because everything else was shit. But Super Babes was like extra crunchy shit. Come on, it had bimbo points. Exactly.
Yeah. I'll just leave that one up there.
That's going to be the review of X-Possils, and we're going to put that right on the cover. End it with shit, says RPG Weekly.
And there will be a badge of honor.
Hold on. The question is, do you pay for that?
Fuck no.
No.
We earn it the old-fashioned way.
Your old Roll20 quote?
No, my old Roll20 quote was always, and I pay for this shit.
Right. That's what I was.
Well, I don't pay for that shit anymore, so now I can't say bad things about it.
Okay, this is interesting. All One says he has actually ran Thirsty Sword Lesbians.
Oh my god. I saw a review of it by Notepad Anon, and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Any others that we should bring up?
Well, there's a tradition of weird ass games out there. What was that fucking? We've talked about it before. That fucked up cyberpunky style game that was like handwritten and fatal.
Cyber.
Fatal.
Yeah. Fatal. That thing was fucking weird, and it was the 90s when publishing was hard. Hole? What is Hole? Oh, Hole. That was it. Hole. Thank you, Bruce. Do not go find a PDF of this. Do not find this game. It will fucking scar you. It is so fucked up. That's me telling you that. That should carry some weight.
Human Occupied Landfill.
Yes.
By Black Dog Studios.
And it had one supplement. Buttery wholesomeness.
Spelled H-O-L someness.
No. It was spelled properly, but the catch is that the emphasized points were like capitalized differently, so that you basically just read butthole.
Yeah, baby. You know what I want? I want someone to make a Mystery Men role-playing game. Like the actual movie Mystery Men as an RPG.
That'd be a lot of fun.
So you just
similar to a tick role-playing game, I think.
Ben Edlund was I think he was one of the writers on that movie or something like that.
That would track.
You know, Ben Edlund's that kind of guy.
Actually, here's a question that I'll ask, bringing that up. We've got, we're talking about all of these different licensed properties, but do we really need a licensed version of a game like Mystery Men? Couldn't you do something like that with just a regular superhero role-playing game?
Do I come to where you work and tell you how to do things, sir?
Yes, you do.
Oh, okay. Let me slap that dick out of your mouth. Okay, so Mercenary Spies and Private Eyes is an amazing game and has one of the greatest supplements ever made called Stormhaven. Check it out, pick it up, buy it if you can. It's an amazing fucking supplement. It usually sells pretty cheap on DriveThruRPG. You can use it for that. You can use it for Danger International. You can use it for Call of Cthulhu. Here ends the ad. Now, to answer your question, did we need a Ghostbusters game if we could have just used GURPS and played Ghostbusters with GURPS? Yes, we needed it because of things like the ghost die mechanic and having stats like muscles and what have you. Because the system, like in Paranoia, like in Burrows and Bunnies, like in Toon, leaned into the tropes. And that's what made it fun.
Okay, so but for something like that, what are the tropes that you have to have? Because I'll be honest, I would play a game in a Mystery Men world. That movie was absolutely amazing. But to me, it's a superhero world, but the main characters are just all low-powered supers.
You have to wear pants if we want to fight crime today, okay? You are like a bitter pill for me today, Brian. Jesus, I say that and you go, well, let me put some reality on that. And
I'm
messing with you.
Look, stop it, Bear. No, my point is kind of going back to about dealing with licensed properties and the fact that those things can go away. You know,
of course they can. We don't need them. But sometimes they're nice to have.
That's fair.
I don't need ice cream, but sometimes it's nice to have. Yes, to quote that Patton Oswalt sketch, yes, I could sit down and have all the ingredients to make ice cream and make it myself, but sometimes I just want to open up a fucking packet of salted caramel from Haagen-Dazs and just eat that, you know? It's the same thing. Sometimes I just want that licensed game that is designed to play that particular universe and just run that game rather than sit down and have to figure out how to hack together the game from Champions or Savage Worlds or whatever. Just saying. Don't need it.
Sure.
Not a need to have, but sometimes can be a nice to have. That's me killing podcast conversations since 2020.
No, so
he brings a special skill set to the table.
I pretty much agree with what Bear said, but yeah, I mean, there's certain settings, you would really have to hack to death some rule sets to make it appropriate for the setting, right?
Yeah, play Star Wars with Traveler.
Yeah, exactly.
Some Force rules.
Yeah, so you're basically making a whole new game at that point to do so. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it is appropriate to have, if you want to play in a specific setting, to have a specific type of rules to fit that setting. Now, it's not to say that some of these setting games that they've made, they don't always, fit.
Miss the mark.
Yeah, they miss the mark.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're still cool. An example of that is like MERP. It not 100% true to Middle Earth at all, but
Fun
regardless, it's a fun game. And they kind of went a different route. They took the idea and made up, went with it. They spun their own thing out of it and created something cool. So
I'd like to respond to Bruce Lombardo. If you could punch up that last statement he said there, Brian. Dude, of course I'm not in proper Texas. I'm in Quebec, Canada. I couldn't be less Texas if I tried.
He has to read everything in French.
Oh. Now. Don't show your ignorance, sir. We are bilingual.
As long as French is primary.
On signage only.
Oh, okay.
The point is that is it easier to go figure out how the Force rules are going to work in Traveler Psionics, or is it better just to pick up a Star Wars game and play that with the Force rules already built in and done for you? Right?
Yeah. Wheel of Time didn't fit so well.
For the longest time, I confused Burning Wheel with Wheel of Time. So I didn't want anything to do with Burning Wheel. And now I found out years later I was completely wrong and it was an amazing game, apparently. And I'm like, well, I definitely missed the bus on that one.
It's the most amazing game that nobody played or dares to play, apparently.
Burning Wheel?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like one of those games everybody loves and everybody, a lot of people have on their shelves, but I've never heard anybody actually play it. It seems to be that way because it's an intimidating game.
Can I ask a question? Because I've got Dale in the chat and I've got Bruce in the chat, and I just need to know what the fuck. Why do Texans all want me to come to Texas? Do you plan to hunt me? Is that the plan?
Texans,
fuck.
No, Texans seem to want good people to go to Texas.
Oh,
there you go. We'll make Bear feel better a little bit today.
I think they want to hunt me. Have
Maybe
ourselves
both.
a long pig barbecue. How y'all doing?
All right, so From the Hilt inspired me to ask a question since we're talking about licensed properties and whatnot. All right, we're gonna play Thundercats and use the Beckme rules. Is his comment?
No.
That's not what. That wasn't gonna be my thing.
Okay.
All right, let's take a few like properties and say whether it needs its own game or whether it should just be done with an existing system and what that should be.
All right, go for it.
Okay, so we'll start with Thundercats. I would say that I would probably put that one in its own system because you've got technology, you've got fantasy, you've got magic. I think it would you'd have to deal with the different style of cats, things like that. So I would probably put that one in its own system.
Cody?
Yeah. It could definitely use its own system, but there's systems around you could use for Thundercats, like I'm going to mention a Palladium game, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Another Strangeness, which is all about playing mutant animals. And by the way, it's Palladium, so it's got a magic system built in. So you could use that. But yeah, I agree with you. Like if I was to play Thundercats or Masters of the Universe, any of those 80s Saturday morning cartoons, a lot of them have a lot of, strange, unique things that probably need their own systems. But you could use other systems to do it.
Okay, Mage?
Yeah, it's either or. For Thundercats, I would be more inclined to just bake it into an existing game as a supplement, because you're set on Earth, and if I remember correctly, it's post-apocalyptic Earth. It's been 30 years since I watched any Thundercats, but you've got Mum-Ra, so there's already magic that exists in the world, so you can just use any existing post-apocalyptic type scenario and just stat out the Thundercats.
Okay, and which system would you use?
Oh, I don't know. He mentioned Palladium. I think Palladium would probably be the one to slot it in, because the thing about Palladium is the rules are all pretty consistent across all their games. So you have that versatility.
How much MDC does Mum-Ra have?
If you're going with an MDC system, yeah, absolutely.
Actually, Thundercats would have MDC because they do have all those tanks and things.
Right.
So
anyway, so yeah, I that would be it. I mean, generally speaking, my first inclination for any IP would be, okay, let's just create it from the ground up. But if you're going to slot it in, there's things you can do to fit it in. And there's not a lot. Thundercats are already strangers to Earth, right? So if you've already got a setting, it's easy enough to just say, okay, I've got this one set of exception stats for the Thundercats, and then you've got your core setting, whatever it was going to be anyway. Thunder the Barbarian could even theoretically be on the same world as the Thundercats are on.
Yeah. Gamma World might actually fit the bill.
Gamma World, yeah, there you go. Gamma World, I hadn't even thought of that because it's not one I played, but yeah. Thundar the what's this, Mini 6?
Yeah, well, I was actually about to mention D6, and that would be perfect too.
Okay, why Mini 6?
Game you want to play. It does it.
Okay, but Bear, hold on. You already said that if it's a licensed property, that it needs its own game.
I never said it needs it. I said sometimes it's nice to have it.
Okay.
No, seriously. Ultimately, you'd want to make your own system because you'd want to own it and make something out of it and have fun with it as a company. And we have to look at it from that point of view. Need to have? No. Nice to have? Sure. But if I didn't have to have my own system, Mini 6. I will answer Mini 6 to any question you ask me about what system would you use? Mini 6. Because Mini 6, D6, some variant of it is the easiest thing to adapt to anything. It's crazy how flexible that system is. It's insane. Price is so low. I'm insane. Come down to mental health questionable Larry's. Yeah, Barbarians of the Ruined Earth is pretty groovy too, from what I hear.
Yeah, it's awesome. I really like it.
I've never heard
Too
of that
fucking
one.
expensive. I'm not buying it. I would look at the price on that hardcover and I'm like, go fuck yourself, $95.
$95?
I think that's what it was for Canadians on
Holy
the
shit.
drive-thru. I'll double check. It was really expensive.
I
Maybe that
just
was
bought
on,
the
it
PDF.
was on Noble Night.
Yeah, it's a cool game though. It's straight up Thundar the Barbarian, D&D, essentially.
I've never actually watched Thundar.
Oh,
It's
dude,
not
you're missing
good.
out.
It's
No,
not good.
Thundar is awesome. Go watch Thundar.
Soft cover premium color book plus PDF, $50 Canadian. 50.
I
That's
think
great.
I
That's
think you're
too-
seeing that in
164 fucking pages.
I think you're seeing that in
Fuck
US
that.
prices because I'm seeing it at $50.
Let me check the bottom. It sometimes does that to me. Price US. Thank you. Let me go to Canada. Reload. $66.72 Canadian. Go fuck yourself. For 164 pages, that game better give me a blowjob for that price. Fuck you.
Why is
Well, I know
Bear's
I'm a
game book
really good-
sticky?
Why is Bears
Why is Bear what?
Why is Bear's game book sticky?
Because he gave me a blowjob. I don't understand the Thundar love. I'm sorry, I don't get the Thundercats love. I don't get the Thundar love. I watched both of them and went, meh. I liked Galaxy Rangers.
Cool.
I'm all alone on that one. Okay, what's your next product, Brian, that you want to see if we need the game or it's generic?
We need a Rocket Robin Hood game. That's what we need.
Abso-fucking-lutely. Band of brothers marching together. I'm down. Sean, I'm fucking in.
I've never heard of that one either.
That's because you had a misbegotten childhood, sir.
I didn't
Classic
think so.
Canadian kids cartoons from the 70s. Maybe even
Ah.
the 60s, I think. Yeah.
60s, yeah.
Canadian. That would explain it. No.
I am the captain. No.
Okay, actually, you know what? Bruce Lombardo brought up an interesting one. Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
Don't know it. Never watched it.
Don't know it.
All right, never mind.
Pirates of Dark Water. Are we just doing Saturday morning cartoons?
Brave Star. I remember Brave Star. That
The
was
one that's
great.
the talking horse? Yeah, no. I'd rather Black Star, which was like Brave Star before it was Black Star meets. Oh my God, the 80s sucked for weirdness. So many weird Saturday morning cartoons we watched in the 80s.
Yeah, but they were amazing.
I refer you back to Galaxy Rangers. No guts, no glory, motherfucker. They're the Galaxy Rangers.
Why is my brain forgetting? which
Heroes
ones
in the
that is?
sky. No guts, no glory, man. No fame, no gain.
Oh yeah. Okay.
No pain, no gain. Sorry.
I know I've seen it, but I can't remember anything about it. I guess the problem with the question is we don't necessarily all have the same reference points.
Well, Savage World
Wait.
could do anything too. Like, let's be honest. If you're just going to use it, if you want to use a pre-can system, Savage Worlds can do anything. Except apparently entertain my players. That's the one thing it can't do as a game.
Ooh, Dale brings up a good one. Exo Force.
Yeah,
I never
cool
watched
game.
that.
Yeah, I liked it. I dug it as a kid. I don't know how well it holds up being an adult. I liked Exos Force though. It was cool. Kind of it had a lot of Macross / BattleTech ripoffs in there, but still cool.
Yeah, if we were doing that one, I think I kind of want to say giving it its own game, because you'd have to come up with the. So basically, you get these powered armor suits, like say 10 to 12 feet tall, so not as big as BattleTech.
Oh, so we'll use what's that game? Heavy Gear. We'll use Heavy Gear.
You could, yeah.
Yeah, you could do Heavy Gear.
I got a show for you that we could turn into a game, and it depends what you could use. A lot of different games for this. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Here we go.
No, I'm not ready.
Too bad. Bucky O'Hare.
Oh, yeah. You could use all kinds of game systems for that one. That would actually be a fun game.
I'd throw it into, Rift / Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Sure, that would work.
I would definitely go with something more rules light with that one. Yeah, probably D6. I think that it would really capture the cartoony flavor of Bucky O'Hare.
Bear does not love
more than Palladium.
Power. Mike Percival, I'm going to come up to London and beat you.
Wait a second. You don't like Captain Power?
No, I don't love it.
All right.
I said I didn't like it. I just said I don't love it.
That's.
Traveler could do Bucky O'Hare.
Yeah, I think so.
Sean's saying nothing because either he has no idea what we're talking about, he's fallen asleep, or doesn't care.
All the above.
Mm-hmm.
Or
I'm sleeping now. Mm-hmm.
No, I'm responding to messages. Sorry, guys.
That's okay, man. You gotta live your life. Oh, by the way, side note, I got your email. I've sent it over. Expect a phone call at some point in the next week or two.
All right, thank you.
But
impress them. I told you, so be good.
Oh crap!
So I absolutely love
Gary. Act. Sorry, was that
Captain? I absolutely loved Captain Power as a kid. I actually had the 2 planes for the toys, which was amazing. And the show is
cheese-horrific.
awesome. Well, it is and it isn't. That's the weird thing, because like the production value just like they did not have a budget like at all.
Oh, absolutely not.
But
they had the very, very luscious Jessica Steen. Jessica Steen.
And the writing wasn't bad. So, I definitely am not complaining about that. But I would absolutely go for that one. I'd say probably just put that into any generic sci-fi. Put it into a Traveler or a what's the other one literally any game. I don't think it needs special rules for it.
Literally any game. Just fucking play a game, people. Stop your belly aching. Go to your goddamn friendly local gaming store, grab a game off the shelf, go home and play it. If you don't like the setting, turn it into Bucky O'Hare, you lazy bastards. X-Apostles coming soon to your church. I'm going to stand outside your church selling copies.
I think maybe I'll just stick with my D&D.
You play this because it is the will of the Lord.
Just too many games out there. I don't have the money or the space or the time.
Oh, time is the fire in which we all burn.
Anyhow,
what did Grandma RPG say? Someone said, yeah, I always thought the same. I got to scroll back.
Yeah.
She doesn't say much, so I'm always like, what did she say? What did she say? Years ago, I sat down and watched the Banana Splits and realized just how stoned everyone was making that show. Have you seen the horror movie based on it? La 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 la.
I am going to 100% agree with RPG Grandma here. No Captain Planet games.
I'm going to say, why do you hate Earth and Jesus and an apple pie and the flag and our powers together, we become Captain Planet.
Watch the sketch with Don Cheadle as Captain Planet.
Oh
See
my
if you
god,
wanna
that
play
was so
one.
good.
Oh,
Yeah, no, Captain Planet was like the most ham-fisted bullshit I've ever seen in my life, and I've worked on some ham-fisted bullshit in my life. I was in fucking Battlefield Earth, and I still think that's better than Captain Planet.
Mhm.
I read that book. It wasn't horrible.
I was in the movie, not the book.
I figured as much, Bear.
Also, aren't you not allowed to go into Salt Lake City because you read Scientology now? Come on, man. Jesus.
And starring Bear as the letter B on page 1191.
Why is the bee giving me the finger? It's Bear.
I will also admit to having read Mission Earth, which is absolute trash. Battlefield Earth was fine. The other one, not so much.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyhow, let's see.
Don't be sorry, Bruce. I made a lot of money on that shoot. A lot of money.
It was a job.
It was a job.
Yeah,
Let's
it's like
see.
why anybody like, oh, you were in that horrible movie? It's like, yes, and I ate food and paid rent for a few months.
So the best quote about that ever is Michael Caine talking about Jaws the Revenge.
Yeah.
And he says, I've not seen Jaws the Revenge, but I hear that is an awful film. I have seen the house it bought, and it's quite lovely.
Sadly, my appearances in films are all indie shit that didn't pay squat. So I get the pleasure of being
those too. I've done
being
those.
embarrassed without getting to say, well, it paid my rent for the month.
Well, sorry.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, you're not allowed on the internet anymore because now Scientology is going to hunt and kill you.
What else? Oh, I was going to bring something up and I forget what now.
So here's a fun
Nothing-
tip about Michael Caine. If you say my cocaine with a Michael Caine accent, or say his name Michael Caine as Michael Caine, you're saying Michael Caine.
Michael
And you
Caine.
don't know if you're saying his name or you're referring to your cocaine because it's Michael Caine.
I love
Yes.
the what was it? The dueling Michael Caine's, that sketch. What was the
I don't remember that one.
you can look it up. It was God, I can't remember the comedian. Yeah, you'd know him to mention him. He played what's his face, Stan Laurel in that recent Laurel and Hardy biopic.
Haven't seen it.
I didn't know they did a Laurel and
Yeah,
Hardy.
I didn't know that
biopic.
either.
Yeah, it was just a couple of years ago. What's his face? John C. Riley played Hardy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I have
it was actually pretty
I
good.
can't say biopic. I always say biopic because it just looks like a fucking sci-fi word to me. Biopic. New role-playing game, by the way, coming out from Zeg Media, a wholesale subsidiary of Lakeside Games, will be Biopic, where you play bioengineered assholes in the future trying to figure out what fucking role-playing game to play. It's like reality of the table at the table.
It's a supplement to X-Possils.
Listen, we already talked about the D20 glut. Let's not create an X-Possils glut.
Steve Coogan. That's who I
Night,
was thinking
Victor.
of.
Take care, man. Steve Coogan. Oh,
Steve Coogan does and somebody else. They do a dueling Michael Caine impersonations. It's pretty funny.
Nice.
You can find it on YouTube.
I will go look at that once we're done.
All right, quick one from
So,
all ones. Where
Michael Caine role playing game. Where do we set it?
Okay, so it's set in Italy, but you're a Chad Cockney from the bad side of town named what the fuck was that movie called?
Colonel Bromhead.
Yeah.
What was that movie called though? Where he was the badass who's gonna shoot you dead. 60s film Michael Caine was in.
The Italian Job.
Oh, yeah.
No, not the Italian Job. That's where we're putting it in.
Get
the
Carter.
Italian Job.
Get Carter.
Get Carter, exactly. We're gonna have him from Get Carter be in there. And just for shits and giggles, in the game, someone gets to play Jason Statham. Why? Because he's about as equally eloquent as Michael Caine.
Yeah, we're going to teach you how to speak Cockney. Take your H's. Chuck them out the window. You won't be needing them.
You won't need to do those things anymore. Because, as we have all learned, Michael Caine is very good at breaking a sentence down into smaller bits. It's the creepiest acting style I've ever seen in my life, but it fucking works.
Well, it works
All
for
right.
you.
Oh my God, Peter! Someone asked us a real question. Thank you, all ones. We love you. You're all twos in our heart. Where do you guys stand on class plus level systems versus skill plus stat systems? You should have watched us last night.
He was there last night.
Yeah, what the fuck? You know where we stand. What are you fucking with us? No. I like them both for different reasons.
Yeah, I think they're just going to give a different flavor. You know, I can play either if I'm having to build a character. I like class and level. So
I'm indifferent. The system will work whatever we'll have whatever it has, so I'll play whatever the system is. The games I play are class and level, and I'm not inclined to change them or remove them. But I'm not for one or the other as a philosophy.
Yeah, I'm not against either one, but I will say skill systems, I like a reduced amount of skills. I don't like skill bloat. I don't need a skill for everything.
It's true. I have all the skills. It's the way it is. You never see them coming.
Fun fact: William Shatner is in fact from Montreal, which is where Bear lives.
Fun fact: William Shatner's acting style was based on Laurence Olivier's Hamlet. The problem is he didn't realize Hamlet was insane, so he saw that. No, it's true. He saw Laurence Olivier do Hamlet and went, "That's acting," and did it. And no one bothered to go, you realize he was playing it as if he was crazy, right? Like that was his whole thing. So Shatner just ran with it. And as a result, I still love that meme of we need to introduce a new game called Shatner, where basically someone yells out in a room, Shatner! And everybody has to start overacting whatever it is they're doing, you know, just like completely sell it and be like, oh, and have a great time with it. I think this is the game. This will be part of X-Possils. There's only one level in X-Possils, Ascension.
X-Possils based on the Shatner system.
Roll some dice and then read the numbers as if they're their own words.
Shatner all over the place.
I've shattered myself.
I think Brad's gonna have an aneurysm, or is that a Shatnerism?
I'm gonna love every single second of it. So, all right. On that note, yeah, Padar, you are absolutely going to have to go back and watch the rest of the show. Probably, like I think that was what, like about 30 or 40 minutes in when we started off on that. But oh man, X-Possils is amazing. It is going to be the next It game in role playing. That's for sure.
If you ever want to have a really good laugh to the point where your sides are hurting and your face hurts, there's a live stream I did about Star Trek, and Tex from Black Pants Legion was on, and we were supposed to be talking about Strange New Worlds, and we just went off on this whole idea of the Star Trek Goon Squad, and I got them the replicator make me some banana bread, you know, like, and we were fucking crying laughing. It was so funny, like it hurt. But this was good. This was a good second. This was fun.
I was laughing more about the Soviet Harry Potter. That was way more enjoyable to me.
Soviet Harry Potter?
Yeah, I think it was Tex on one of your early podcasts. He was talking about what if Harry Potter it's Harry Potter, but it's based in the Soviet Union.
Oh, Jesus. I don't remember that, but I believe it. Star Park, we play a Star Trek poster gang called The Kirks. Gentlemen, we have to go into Night City now. We must do it. It's why we're here. These Chambada cannot be allowed to do what they're doing.
Brian, click end stream, and we will pose in our stream. You won't see me, but you can see the others.
And the net runners are all wearing blue shirts, and they have their ears biosculpted, so they're all Spocks. And the Ripper Docs are all McCoys, and all new gang members have to wear a red shirt.
All right. Well, yes, it is just after 10 p.m. on the East Coast.
So no more fun. Fuck you all. Go to bed.
No, you're going to bed. I gotta be. If I'm going to bed, it's not going to end well.
This was too much fun. I'm energized.
Yeah, no, this absolutely was a great stream. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. Next week, I believe Bear is actually going to host his own show again.
I believe I am.
We'll see what happens.
Believe.
I also believe that X-Fossils is coming for you.
But do not forget, if you're clear, like everybody here is subscribed to at least one of the 4 channels. But if you haven't yet, go make sure you're subscribed to Bear, to GM Cody, and to Mage's Musings. And if you don't mind, throw one my way too. But other than that,
like button, hit the ring the bell.
Yeah.
Subscriptions cost you nothing. Click that button.
But otherwise, we do appreciate it. We'll see you all next week. And thanks for watching, everybody.